Week 30, day 2. Can you play the piano? When they asked Edison that, he said, I don't know. Is that the ultimate in confidence? Washington, Sam Houston, it's just, it goes on and on and on. When you go up to bat, do you anticipate hitting a home run, getting a base hit? That's confidence, that's preparation. Little Ben Hooper was born at a time when if you didn't know who your father was, you were ostracized from society. Now, most of you today don't realize what it was like to be born without a father during a time when if you were born and didn't know who your father was, you were ostracized. When Ben started school, he would stay inside by himself at recess. He brought his lunch and always ate alone. When he and his mother would go to the general store, that's the grocery store today, on Saturday to get groceries, the self-righteous ladies, underline that, would say in a whisper you could hear about 200 yards away, I wonder if he knows who his father is. I wonder if she knows. Little Ben seemed to be sentenced to a life of loneliness and despair. Then he heard about a new young preacher in town. Ben and his mom didn't go to church. But all the kids were talking about this new preacher, so little Ben decided to go. Now, the church had a ritual at the end of the service. One of the members would pray, and the preacher would go to the back of the church and shake hands with each person as they left the church. Now, for the first time in his young life, little Ben was hopeful. On this particular Sunday, the preacher seemed to be talking right to Ben. He said it didn't matter where you had been. All that matters was where you were going. Before little Ben knew it, they were praying, and the preacher was at the back of the church. Ben tried to mingle with the crowd and suddenly felt a hand on his shoulder. When he turned, he was looking into the eyes of that young preacher. The young preacher asked the question everyone had wanted to ask publicly for years. Whose boy are you? Whose boy are you? You could have heard a proverbial pin drop. Then the young preacher smiled and said, well, it's obvious whose child you are. The resemblance is remarkable. You are a child of God. Now go and claim the inheritance you so richly deserve. Little Ben Hooper later said that was the day he was elected governor of Tennessee and later reelected. He said that day he went from being the son of an unknown father to being the son of a king. That day he was given hope in the future, which gave him the confidence to achieve success. If there's hope in the future, what is there in the present? If there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. If you believe in the future that you can make a good grade in that class, what do you have the power to do? If you think there's a promotion, if you work hard enough and do the right things in the future, what does it give you today? Power in the present. You see, if there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. That's where confidence comes from. The number one thing you've got to have is hope. What is the job of a teacher? To provide hope for every student in that class. Now this boy, little Ben Hooper, and he tells the story himself because he was the governor of Tennessee. And all he had considered for years was where he had come from. And he didn't know who his father was. And he was ostracized because he didn't know where he had been. And then a young preacher came to town and told him, it don't matter where you've been, son. The only thing that matters is where you're going. Now let me ask you this. Where you been? Oh, I made bad grades all during middle school. So, you're not in middle school anymore, you're in high school. It don't matter where you've been. The only thing that matters is where you're going. See, that's writing those goals every week. It don't matter. When we went to Marshall in 1984, they were ranked 252nd out of 256 teams in 5A football, the largest classification. That's where they had been. But it don't matter where they've been. The only thing that matters is where you're going. Hayden Fry told me one time, he said, there's no such thing as a good job. I was asking him about a job, maybe changing jobs, and I was asking him about a job. And I said, is that a good job? He said, Dennis, there's no such thing as a good job. All there are opportunities. And when you walk into that opportunity, you walk in there with confidence. And you make sure that every day they see you, you exude confidence. Do you think George Washington, do you think we'd be a free country today from Great Britain if George Washington would have said, I don't know if we can beat them or not. They sure got a lot of people over there, and they got a lot of ships, and they got a lot better weapons than we do, and they got a lot more money, and they got... How many times have you heard some coach, well, they sure got a lot more talent over there than we do. I mean, they got kids that can run a 4 or 5. They got 13 kids that are going to sign D1 scholarships. You could almost make them the sports information director for the opposing school. Now, do you really believe that his players are going to be confident when they play that game? See, your job as a coach is real simple. You provide hope for the future. Every single player on your team, you provide hope for the future. And if you provide hope for the future, you're guaranteeing that he's going to have power in the present. It's true with a mom and a dad, a parent, any person on this earth. Your job is to provide hope for the future so that you'll be confident today. Make it a great day. See you tomorrow.